Introduction. Change your environment, change your destiny. What if I told you that your destiny isn't determined by your talent, but by your surroundings? That the reason your life feels stuck isn't a lack of faith, discipline, or desire, but a silent force shaping you every single day, your environment. Think about it. You can pray, plan, and push forward, but if you're surrounded by chaos, doubt, or mediocrity, even the strongest vision gets buried. That's not just motivation, that's physics of the soul. Your surroundings either stretch you or suffocate you. And here's the scary part. Most people never question their atmosphere, they just adapt to it. Now let's be brutally honest. How many times have you felt the fire inside, only to watch it fade because no one around you believes in what you're building? You hear Napoleon Hill quotes on success, you read the scriptures, you replay motivational videos, but the moment you step back into your reality, everything feels heavy again. Why? Because the soil around your dream is toxic. And unless you change the soil, you can't expect a different fruit. God's purpose in your pain might not be to crush you, but to wake you up to the space you've been living in for too long. This video isn't just about mindset, it's about atmosphere. It's not just about prayer, it's about placement. You're going to learn how to identify what's limiting you, how to let go without guilt, and how to build an environment that aligns with your God-given vision. We'll dive deep into the invisible forces shaping your behavior, your peace, your discipline, even your destiny. Because when you change your environment, everything changes. Your clarity, your confidence, your calling. And that is exactly where your new future begins. Topic 1. The invisible influence of environment. They say motivation gets you started, but your environment decides how far you'll go. And that's the hidden truth most people miss. You can listen to every Napoleon Hill audiobook ever recorded, repeat daily affirmations, and watch all the motivational videos in the world. But if your environment works against you, your growth will feel like a constant uphill battle. Your surroundings don't just support your mindset, they shape it. That's why so many people feel stuck, even when they're trying to change. They're planting new seeds in the same old soil. And toxic soil doesn't produce a harvest. It chokes the roots before they grow. There are 3 types of environment that silently influence your destiny: mental, social, and physical. Your mental environment includes the internal dialogue you repeat, the beliefs, assumptions, and thoughts you allow to stay rent-free in your head. Are they empowering or limiting? Then there's your social environment: friends, family, coworkers, the people who either fuel your purpose or drain your spirit. Lastly, your physical environment, your home, your workspace, even your phone screen. Is it cluttered or clean? Peaceful or chaotic? These factors aren't just background, they're blueprints shaping your outcomes. Let's be real. You can't watch a Napoleon Hill motivational speech and expect it to magically change your life if you go back to a room full of distractions, noise, and people who mock your ambition. It's like trying to meditate in the middle of a rock concert. Your environment has to align with the future you're building. If your space doesn't reflect your vision, you'll eventually shrink your vision to match your space. That's how dreams die, not through lack of passion but through lack of support. That's why the environment is more powerful than willpower. It works 24/7 even when your motivation fades. Think about it like this. No matter how strong a seed is, if it's planted in dry, rocky, and toxic soil, it won't grow. But plant that same seed in rich, nourished soil, and it flourishes. Your potential isn't broken, it's buried. And the moment you change your soil, everything changes. Napoleon Hill quotes on success often remind us that we become what we consistently expose ourselves to. So if you want peace, power, clarity, or faith, you have to immerse yourself in those things daily. Otherwise, you're just fighting against the current. What's wild is, most people don't even realize how much of their struggle comes from their environment. They keep tweaking the symptoms, trying new routines, buying more planners, watching more sermons, but never address the root. And the root is this: your atmosphere affects your attitude. Your daily surroundings either activate your spirit or crush it. Your energy either expands or contracts depending on what you allow in your space. But once you see this clearly, there's no turning back. Because the next step becomes unavoidable. It's time to prune. Let's talk about cutting what no longer serves your growth. Topic 2. identifying and cutting toxic influences. Before you grow, you must let go. That might sound harsh, but growth and comfort cannot coexist. Many people stay stuck, not because they lack talent or discipline, but because they're emotionally tied to environments and relationships that limit them. Toxic influences aren't always obvious. They can show up as well-meaning friends who subtly mock your dreams, or family members who always expect the worst. And slowly you start believing their limits are your truth. Napoleon Hill motivation reminds us, close association with negative people is fatal to success. If you want change, you have to clean house, internally and externally. So how do you recognize the toxic influences around you? Start by paying attention to how you feel after interactions. Do you leave conversations energized, or do you feel drained and doubting yourself? Watch for sarcasm aimed at your goals, people who never celebrate your wins, or those who create chaos wherever they go. Toxic doesn't always mean evil, it means misaligned. And that misalignment creates friction with your future. God's purpose in your pain is often revealed through the people He removes, not just the blessings He gives. It's not rejection, it's redirection. But here's the tricky part. Cutting people off feels uncomfortable, especially when they've been part of your life for years. That's where silent pruning comes in. You don't need drama, confrontation, or grand declarations. Just create space, slowly, intentionally. Set clear boundaries. Decline the invitation. Say no with peace, not anger. You're not trying to punish anyone, you're just protecting your purpose. Napoleon Hill quotes on success often speak of decisiveness, and this is where it matters most. You decide what your future is allowed to be exposed to. It's not about hate, it's about hierarchy. You don't hate the person, but you don't hand them your future either. Think about this. Would you let someone spill poison into your drinking water every day just because they've known you since childhood? No. So why drink from the emotional poison of gossip, fear, and discouragement? There's a reason motivational videos emphasize surrounding yourself with people who lift you higher. Not because you're better than others, but because you're becoming better than your past. Let go in love, but don't let what's familiar destroy what's possible. This part is tough, no doubt. But it's necessary. Just like a gardener trims the dead branches so the tree can thrive, you too must release what no longer grows with you. You'll feel lighter, clearer, stronger, and slowly the noise will fade. The space you open by releasing toxicity becomes holy ground for divine alignment, spiritual growth, and new energy. Because once you've made room by removing what drains you, now comes the exciting part. It's time to build an environment that fuels your next level. Topic 3. Building a growth-driven environment. Now that you've cleared the weeds, it's time to prepare the soil for something powerful. A growth-driven environment doesn't happen by accident. It's intentionally designed. It's where your vision breathes, your habits thrive, and your energy stays protected. Every successful person, whether in business, faith, or purpose, builds a secret world around them that aligns with where they're going. Napoleon Hill quotes on success teach us that success requires no explanations. Failure permits no alibis. Your environment must become your silent coach, constantly reminding you of what matters most. It's not about perfection, it's about purpose-built structure. Let's start with your information diet. What you consume daily becomes your subconscious language. Are you feeding your faith or feeding your fears? Replace the noise of endless news cycles and empty entertainment with books that challenge your thinking, podcasts that elevate your standards, and online courses that sharpen your skills. For example, revisit Think and Grow Rich or listen to a Napoleon Hill audiobook each morning while preparing your day. When your inputs change, your outputs shift. And that shift, it compounds into momentum. Next, design your physical space to reflect your inner transformation. Create an environment that says, "Winners live here." Put your vision board on the wall. Organize your schedule around purpose, not pressure. Keep your desk clean and your room inspiring. Light a candle, add a plant, or use a playlist that triggers deep focus. These aren't superficial details, they're signals to your brain that it's time to perform. Inspirational messages only become reality when anchored in structure. Faith without preparation is fantasy. So build a space that makes discipline easier than distraction. Then set up trigger zones, specific places in your home or office with specific purposes. One chair could be for reading spiritual growth books only. One table could be where you write your prayer journal or affirmations. One spot could be where you listen to motivational videos uninterrupted. Why does this work? Because your brain starts to associate certain places with certain behaviors. Over time, it becomes effortless. This isn't just psychology, it's strategy. And it's how you create rituals that reinforce results, not routines that wear you out. You're not just designing rooms, you're designing results. And the more intentional you become, the more accelerated your success becomes. This is what separates dreamers from doers: structure. God has for you a future that requires preparation, not improvisation. So build wisely. Because the stronger your environment, the less you'll need motivation. And now that you've created a space that supports growth, it's time to upgrade something just as important: the people you allow into that space. Topic 4. The power of mastermind and aligned relationships. You weren't designed to walk this path alone. Even the greatest minds in history had others beside them, sharpening, supporting, and stretching their capacity. Napoleon Hill motivation teaches that one of the most powerful forces for success is the mastermind. Not just a group chat. Not just coffee buddies. A true mastermind is a strategic alliance of like-minded people who meet consistently, share vision, and amplify each other's growth. Think of it as spiritual synergy. When two or more gather in aligned faith, even prayer becomes more powerful. Your tribe either multiplies your momentum or magnifies your mediocrity. Look around. Who do you spend the most time with? Do they challenge your excuses or comfort your laziness? Do they pray with you, plan with you, or pull you away from your calling? A powerful environment is incomplete without powerful people. God has for you connections that don't just fill your time, they refine your soul. If you're constantly explaining your dreams to people who laugh or roll their eyes, you're probably speaking to the wrong crowd. Success isn't always about doing more, it's about doing it with the right people. So, how do you build the mastermind circle? Start small. One person is enough to begin. Look for someone with shared values, aligned goals, and the courage to be honest. Meet weekly. 30 minutes is enough to check in, speak life, share lessons, and hold each other accountable. You don't need fancy titles or matching notebooks. You need commitment. And if you can't find one yet, join online communities that focus on faith-based encouragement or spiritual growth. Read quotes of Napoleon Hill together, or study a Napoleon Hill audiobook chapter by chapter. Grow together. Here's a powerful truth: isolation weakens, but alignment multiplies. The Bible says, iron sharpens iron. You need people who don't just nod and agree, you need those who challenge you to level up. Who remind you of your identity when the world tries to shake it. Who ask the uncomfortable questions that unlock your next breakthrough. When you align with purpose-driven people, you begin to attract new ideas, divine connections, and doors you didn't even know existed. That's not coincidence, it's spiritual alignment. And that kind of relationship is a priceless investment. There's a reason motivational videos often repeat the phrase, "You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That's not just a catchy quote, it's a spiritual principle. The people closest to you are either your ladder or your lid. So ask yourself, who's building with you and who's blocking the blessing? Because once you upgrade your circle, there's one final piece of the puzzle that can't be ignored. What to do when your current environment still feels heavy, draining, or out of your control. Topic 5. Shifting even without resources. Let's address the reality most people avoid. What if your environment can't change overnight? What if you live in a toxic home, or work in a space that drains you emotionally? Not everyone has instant access to peace and progress. But here's the truth, your outer world may be chaotic, but your inner world is yours to govern. God's purpose in your pain isn't to break you, it's to build strength that outlasts your circumstances. Napoleon Hill motivation reminds us, success often starts in silence when no one sees your grind but heaven. You don't need perfect conditions. You need intentional choices. Start by upgrading your internal environment. The battlefield is in your mind. Set aside 10 minutes every morning for journaling, Get your emotions out, declare your goals, write down your prayers. Use affirmations that counter every limiting belief around you. Say them aloud until they become your new identity. I am aligned. I am disciplined. I am walking in divine purpose. That isn't fantasy, it's faith in motion. Even one page a day can rewire a mindset built on survival into one built for success. That's the first layer of transformation, internal realignment. Next, curate your digital environment. If your home is noisy, your feed doesn't have to be. Unfollow gossip, rage, and confusion. Fill your timeline with inspirational messages, Christian inspiration speech content, and Napoleon Hill quotes on success. Subscribe to motivational videos that lift your spirit daily. Create a growth folder on your phone. Add sermons, podcasts, and ebooks. Watch a Napoleon Hill audiobook chapter instead of scrolling. It might seem small, but these shifts build new neural pathways. You don't need to escape your world, you need to reprogram it one click at a time. Then block out power hours. Even if your day feels out of control, you can still reclaim 1 hour. 1 hour of pure focus, prayer, reading, or action can rebuild your momentum. Use headphones to create a mental bubble. Light a candle. Put your phone on airplane mode. Turn your room, or even a corner of it, into a sacred space. Time is a tool, not a trap. 1 hour a day adds up to over 15 full days per year. That's 15 days of spiritual growth, self-discipline, and progress. And you didn't need a single external resource to begin. Your current environment may not be your fault, but changing it is your responsibility. Faith without action is dead. God has for you a next level, but He often waits to see what you'll do with what you already have. Will you steward the silence? Will you cultivate clarity in the chaos? Napoleon Hill often said, "Every adversity carries with it the seed of equal or greater benefit." But you have to plant that seed. And now that you've learned how to build, align, and shift, there's only one thing left. It's time to activate everything you've discovered. Final conclusion. Now the question is no longer if you need to change your environment, it's when you'll finally do it. What spaces in your life have been silently stealing your energy, your clarity, your calling? What voices have been louder than your vision? You don't have to live another year in a life that feels borrowed. You were created for impact, not survival. And maybe, just maybe, God's waiting for you to move first, so He can start opening the doors you stopped believing in. So let me ask you, what's one thing you're going to remove today that doesn't serve your purpose? What's one small change you can make in your space, your circle, or your routine to take back your power? Leave your answer in the comments, because clarity grows in conversation. And if this message stirred something in your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Someone in your circle might be praying for this exact word right now. If you're serious about building a life of purpose, faith, and power, this is just the beginning. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep walking with us. We've got more tools, more truth, and more transformation coming your way. Because this isn't just a motivational speech, it's a movement. And remember, when your environment changes, your destiny finally has space to breathe.